Who is it? Vinny!
Hey, dude, are you there?
Hey, what's
Yeah,
up,
I'm
my
here,
brother?
man.
How are you,
Dude,
man?
I don't have a scary story, man. I was like, I'm gonna have pretty much a heart attack. I'm like having a heart attack, but I can't scream or anything. Basically, laying on the floor, panicking.
Oh!
No, you weren't. You built the place. I haven't seen the Hopi in thousands of years. Don't make fun of my people. Period.
Sorry,
I'll
Brandon.
come after your ass and cut you up into little bitty bits.
Facebook page down because people said Richie from Boston's gay. He's gay. I'm gay. I'm a gay man.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, you can prosecute me for that if you like.
No, it's not why I'm doing that. I'm just saying there's a lot
But
of...
that is what you did.
No, it's not why I'm doing that.
Bigelow started buying websites, including one in British Columbia, Canada. So all of a sudden, this kind of triggered Brian Vike.
Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins here. We've got a special report for you. We've got a few UFO videos that we want to share with you.
Welcome back, everybody. Blake Cousins, along with Orlando Smith and Brent Cousins, we're going to be going over incredible imagery.
Third phase of moon. Third phase of moon.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
You were either in or you were either out, brother.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
All right. Oh, welcome to Goof On, everybody. I'm your host, Rich Giordano. It is Monday, September 20th, 2021. My children, you made it. The weekend, you survived it. For what? For this? Yes, actually. What a great show we have in store for you tonight. Michael Roser from DarkHour, Paranormal, is here. We are going to discuss USOs, unidentified submerged objects. And you know what? They're also UFOs. In this case, they'd be USFOs. Yeah. Huh? Aha, you see what I did there with the letters and the... Nah? Alright. Well, it should be used. Thank you, Mr. Bridges William, for the $20 super chat to kick off the show. That's right, you can support the show through PayPal. Cash App. I always forget that one. You can become a patron. Or Super Chat Super Stickers. Those are available all throughout the whole show. So is everything else. All the links are in the description and also in the About button on the home channel of Goof On here on YouTube. So we're going to get this shindig started. There is no roll call this evening because we like to save time to give it to our guest. That's why I talk extra long to make up for it, so I feel special. We want to welcome Mr. Michael Roser. What's up, man?
Well, I didn't know I was going to NASCAR, but I mean, I really enjoy the improv.
Dude.
That was so sweet of you. You called me a guest. That's so touching.
That's right.
Thank you.
You are a guest and a visitor.
And
a continuing guest.
I'll have to change my name tag then.
You should, to visitor. You're a repeat offender. To Goof On. We appreciate repeat offenders. Not scared to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but. Huh? There's more to
Huh?
that? Nah. So it's Monday. Everybody's here. Well, they're filing in. So let's just sit back for a second and give a little bit of silence to those in the USO community who have passed away, whoever you are.
Bow your head, Rich.
Hey, oh,
Attaboy.
you know, it's going to be a really good show. You know what I don't like? I'll tell you. Thanks for asking. I don't like that StreamYard screws with the echo every time we want to play a video, show something. You know what I mean?
It's awful. I don't know why that changed, but it's a huge pain in the butt.
I know when it changed. They did an update back in January. And right after that update, things got a little bit weird here on StreamYard. I can't wait to go back to OBS. Actually, I like StreamYard. But OBS, hey,
Yeah, you're saying.
are you just shaking your head to shake it? Are you listening?
I mean, I'm listening to you
Is
always
this
go
thing
back
on?
and forth between these platforms, you know?
I know. Well, the reason I like StreamYard is because we get such a nice split. And you can post people's super chats on the screen. You know, and their things like that. But also, with OBS, I was putting all that stuff up on the side so people can see it the whole show. So you get the best of both worlds. But anyway, so what's up, man? How's the weather where you been? You've been getting a lot of rain this summer, huh?
Well, towards the end here, as soon as the tropical storms started coming through, yeah, certainly we saw quite a bit of rain. It wasn't as inclement as was predicted in the way of winds or destruction to property and so forth, but it was pouring buckets. And it was the first time I ever saw Connecticut, its state capital, actually flood. It's in the middle of the state. And I've never seen that happen before out in Hartford. So pretty curious, man. Otherwise, it's been fair weather. How about you guys? I mean, you're in the heart, the band of tumultuous weather.
They should just call Florida cockroach. That's all. They don't need to call it anything else. They can call it bugs, insects. That's all that's out here. There's nothing. It doesn't even rain anymore. It's just bugs. That's all. That's it. I won't be living the rest of my life out here in Florida. I can tell you that. That's how much I don't care for it.
You know, just yeah, okay.
I love everything else except for that. And bugs is one of my main issues when moving somewhere.
Well,
although I've only lived in 3 places my whole life, but, you know, hey, when we were in California, did we get inundated by any cockroaches, ants, moths? No.
No, you have a point there. Actually,
every time I step out that front door, I get hit in the head with the love bug, a moth, a flying something. I'm done already. It's only been 4 months.
Wear a helmet.
I wear the hat.
I've got
I had one under
here.
the... Huh?
You had one taking residence underneath the brim?
For a minute.
You check your armpits, too.
I do. What were you saying before you rudely interrupted you? See, now we got an internet issue. You're frozen.
Oh, boy.
What are you doing, David Blaine impressions over here?
That might be. Are we back or what?
You're back. Hold on, I forgot to do this for Mr. Bridges. There you go. Thank you, sir. Now, this USO thing, as soon as the money stops falling out of the sky. And 3, 2, and gosh. All right. What are you doing now on your channel? Are you doing documentaries? Are you still doing interviews? What's going on with DarkHour Paranormal?
Well, as I had mentioned a couple times when this question has come up recently, people have noticed the mini documentaries that I put up, including the full-length The Montauk Enigma. I'm going to be getting back into the interviews. I have a lot of interesting people lined up. I just need to finish the scheduling for that. But one of the reasons I'm waiting is because the weather's still nice out here in the Northeast, and the longer I have the opportunity to be out in the field without freezing my ass off, I'd like to take that opportunity and present some of these documentaries to you. But you will see, coming up this week, I have a interview with Jared Murphy on Thursday, and he's going to be talking about his expedition into the Grand Canyon, which was a precursory expedition to map out what he was going to do when he comes back. I think it's in October, to be out there for 2 or 3 weeks. Now, his whole idea is to explore and map out certain facades of the canyon wherein he can climb and he can put the pegs in and have access to perhaps areas or caves that people may have known about but have not been able to get to. So he's hoping to find something that's more in the way of being undiscovered, which within the Grand Canyon, if you know what you're doing, is more than possible. So
he's going to have issues. He's going to have issues out there.
In what way?
Well, it's a park, number one. Number two, they have the indigenous tribe out there that guard it like it's, sacred land, which it kind of is. And three, a lot of those caves have been discovered. I don't know where he's going to go, but the ones that he can't get to, you can't get to. It's just you got to scale down the walls. Or is he going, now he's going there 2 to 3 weeks, you said?
He said about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, yeah.
Damn, he might find something, but I don't know, because that Grand Canyon, he'll probably get followed.
Well, he actually is within the blessing of the indigenous tribe that's there. In fact, one of the members is the leader of this expedition. And it's only a few people that are going, if it's not just himself and this other person.
You didn't say that. That changes everything.
Sorry, I didn't get there.
I know.
But I'm going to learn more about this as, I talk to him on Thursday because, he has a whole itinerary that he's trying to follow. And again, you're right. There are these rock walls that he would have to, obviously peg to create a route. And, there would be issues if he didn't have this sort of backing behind him. So it'll be interesting.
Does his ancestry go back to the Native Americans?
I don't know.
How did he get this access? Do you know about that?
I know that he's an archaeologist, and I know that he knows a lot of people just from within that work itself. So I would imagine that's where he has gained access from.
How old is this? How old is he?
He's about he's just about your age, brother. Just about
40.
Your age. He's yeah, 40. I said your age.
40. 43. All right, sorry.
You gotta stop lying to the people. You gotta tell them 43 is the real number, Rich.
I know. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, he's. I think he's 51.
Oh, so he's older. Okay. Well, that's interesting because the way I look. I mean, it looks young, but other than that, he's a real archaeologist, which is kind of cool. Like he went to school for it. He has a degree and all that stuff.
I'm not exactly sure. I would have to say yes, because I've had many conversations with him. I just can't answer exactly what that degree is.
Sure.
I mean, he's written books on archaeology. He's got a lot of information in that way based on his research. So, yeah, you know what? These are good things that I should bring up because sometimes I take it for granted. Maybe I've talked to him at one point and it's just, the credentials will slip my mind as we got closer as friends.
Yeah.
So that'd be something good to revisit.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure he is. With degree,
I believe
Did you
so.
shave too today? I shaved too.
I did.
Yeah,
actually,
I could
just
tell.
before the
So
show.
did I. Hey, yours is a little thicker, darker, because, you're 28.
You're so gracious, man.
You've got that test still running through your veins like a teenager.
Now, if Alien Addict has anything to say about it, you know what I mean? We're the most handsome panel in ufology. But I'll take it, guys. I'll take it.
I would have to agree with that statement. And all different ages. No, not really. We're all the same age. To a point.
I'm catching up to you guys. Don't worry. I'm getting there.
Hey, my teeth are only 3 years old. Let that sink in. Literally.
Hold my tongue here. Hold my tongue.
Easy. Easy. Now, I want to play a video, but I'm afraid we're going to have the echo chamber.
I'll just pull off my mic until I have to say something, and,
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Let me ask you, how hard was it, that USO documentary, the one you just put out on Third Phase UFO Report?
Mm-hmm.
We, as in Preston Dennett, myself, Third Phase, and you, we all created our own little, I guess, segment or portion of that entire video. You spliced it up. How many hours did you put into that? I'm curious.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just start off by saying how this even came about. I was down at the East Coast, the southern coast of Connecticut, and I was spending, I think, a week down there. I was talking to Blake and Brent from Third Phase of Moon, and I was saying, man, I'd like to do something while I'm down here, but I can't think of anything. I'm having a writer's block, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so they suggested, why don't you do a report on USOs? And I said, oh, that's interesting. So I took the suggestion and I kind of looked into it a little bit. I'm like, wow, there's really not much to just, flat out do an episode, point blank. I'd have to really research and dig some of these stories because, again, it's very rare that we hear about USOs versus UFOs. So I took a little time and I started thinking, well, why don't I get everybody involved? I'll talk to you, I'll talk to Blake and Brent, and maybe from there we can get somebody else who has a little bit more knowledge and background in this. And sure enough, Third Phase had recommended Preston Dennett. Why don't you reach out to him? I said, sure, no problem. So I did just that. Actually, Dr. J hooked us up, and I spoke with him on the phone very briefly one evening. He agreed to do it. And again, it was just like you said. I had asked all of you to submit something to me. In fact, you guys gave me something much more polished than what I was expecting to work with. So thank you for that. It certainly made the editing much easier. But the overall time that I spent on this, immediately, when you look at the edit, I would say I probably spent maybe 12, 13 hours on that edit as an entirety, with a few issues in way of rendering that, of course, you have to go over that hurdle. Prior to this, I was already recording my part months ago, and either the lighting wasn't any good or the audio was terrible. I must have recorded it 5 or 6 times before I finally got that shot out on Long Island with Long Island Bigfoot is actually filming me on the beach. So thank God I had that footage. Otherwise, I would have had to do it all over again.
See, normally I would be playing that while you were talking, but we'd have the echo.
Of course.
Life stinks. Let's just quit. Yeah, I'm done. Are you done?
I don't know. You say this every time you're on the air, Rich. I mean, but you keep coming back. Yeah.
I'm like a cockroach. They're infesting my brain, my capacity to think.
Good callback.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I can't do that.
Huh?
I can't do that. I can't change my background like that.
Oh,
that's that fancy stuff.
I forgot. Yeah, that's technology. All right, I'm going to... that might be a problem when I get off of StreamYard and use OBS, because the green screen technology isn't perfect like StreamYard's.
You
understand?
I do, to a point, because I always had issues with the green screen in StreamYard. I've never really been able to accurately use it. I don't know why.
Oh, well, you have to have... You definitely have to have lights. If you don't have the lights to illuminate it, it will get fuzzy. But on the one I use for OBS, you can see the halo around my body. Here, you don't.
No,
you know the halo I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate that. I don't like it because you have to use chroma key. So if anybody out there knows of a better service that I could use other than chroma key, let me know. Send it to goofonradio@gmail.com. Here's the thing. You might want to mute yourself, and I'll play the video, okay? In 5, 4, 3, 2, go. Eggush. Oh. So beautiful.
A mystery is unfolding in Westerly. A strange circular object has been discovered under the water at East Beach, and no one has any idea what it is.
The ability for an object to fly not only in our atmosphere, low and high altitudes, but also potentially in a vacuum environment like space and even underwater.
I got to stop it right there so we could talk. You know what that is. Whoa, hey, no. No. Oh, yeah, we're going to echo. Damn it. Well, do you hear an echo?
Yep.
Son of a beep. So, as the thing I was just showing, that is the Malibu underwater, what is it? Base? Maybe an alien base? Did you do any extra investigating into that?
Not into that particular image. I mean, I've researched, this probably as much as you have.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be honest. One of the reasons I included this is because people still believe that it's not a natural formation, even though there are many different topography studies and statistics that are out there on this particular site that suggest that it is something more natural. But again, it's, we talk about these things. There are certain barriers that we need to cross, and some of those come in the way of belief, they come in the way of superstition, they come in the way of a thirst for something so tangible in the way of USOs, UFOs, esoterics, that people will latch onto something and form that belief and not allow anything else to come into that, into their peripherals.
I'm a little sad. So that's actually a natural, is it a sandbar, like an ancient sandbar?
I don't know exactly because, again, it's been a very long time since I looked into this particular structure. I mean, it's been around for quite some years. But again, that's kind of my opinion based on my research, what's been presented, that this is probably more often than not something more natural than artificial.
I guess so. I mean, that's what I heard too. But, they lie, people. I don't know. Was it a private report? I don't know. We're going to have to look into it. I may look back into that Malibu underwater phenomenon. All right, here we go.
Yep,
yeah. No, you go.
I was just going to say, the curious thing about the structure are these longitudinal lines that you see, or, some sort of innate structure in the way of angles that, again, makes it appear like it has some sort of figure. Now, in all reality, it's very possible that this might have been something man-made and, buried under the sea like Bimini. But I don't know how many people have actually been down there to investigate this. So again, Rich, I think this is something we'll have to revisit, man.
I thought there was an investigation that went into it.
You might be right.
Oh. No, I thought that... I thought some researchers went down there, like, is it NADS? Who is it?
I don't know.
The National Oceanic Research Team. I thought, hey, I want to check something out. I may have figured out the echo chamber.
Uh-huh. What do you got?
So let's see if we can get this, because I really need the pictures up while we're talking. I need it, not you, but I need it. All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I echoing to you?
No.
All right, good. As long as I'm not echoing for you, we're good to go.
Do you hear an echo?
I do, but I can work around that.
No. If you hear it, they hear it.
Oh, gotcha.
Capiche? It's a one
capiche
show.
A lot of them.
All right, here we go. I'll go ahead and explain. This is what we were talking about. These are the pillars that give the illusion this is a base under the ocean. In the ocean, it's not. Go. I'm going to let it play for a minute.
Behind me is Long Island Sound, which is fed in by the Atlantic Ocean. Now, throughout history, we've seen many documentations and reports about UFOs over this particular coast and many others. But what about USOs? With their transmedium capabilities, with their supercavitation technology, this is a very interesting subject that doesn't get enough light shed on it. Now, is that because we just don't have the technology at bay and it's not us? Is this because possibly we just don't have enough information about this particular phenomenon? I believe that there are many documents that are being suppressed, especially in the way of USOs, and for this reason, with underground bases as possibly their stopping point, there may be some logic to this decision.
My name is Preston Dennett. I'm a UFO researcher. I've been studying this subject for about 35 years, written almost 30 books and more than 100 articles on this subject. And one area I have focused a lot of my research on is USOs, unidentified submersible objects. You could also call these transmedium craft, meaning they can travel through both the air and the water, different mediums. Officially, the military does not have any transmedium craft, though there are documents dating to the 1950s and 60s that show that the U.S. military was interested in developing what they would call a flying submarine, a craft that can move in and out of the water. But officially, we don't have anything like this. Now, the ETs do. And in fact, there are a number of reports of
See, and I want you to test one more time. I think I seriously fixed it. Go ahead. Do you hear an echo when you speak?
Check. Yes.
Damn it! It says echo cancellation, you pricks, ya. That's not cool, man. I'm sorry, Michael. Okay, so Preston Dennett. I know, right? We got to watch our P's and Q's. Literally have to watch them echo. So Preston Dennett says something that annoys me because we have no proof of anything he's saying. Now, I love Preston Dennett. He's the shit, right? I get it. I love the guy, really do. But it's not just him. I do it. We all do it. We say, oh, well, witnesses have said they've seen, but we never have this shit on video. I'm just saying, it makes me angry. But Preston Dennett's a great catch for this because this guy, he knows his shit like nobody's business. What, did he bring anything? I can't remember. Did he bring anything that was shocking to you or?
Well, he spoke about, a couple classic sightings in the way of USOs, which I did want him to cover. In fact, I was going to do it if he didn't. And I thought that was pretty sufficient for what we were trying to propose. I mean, a lot of what we see, especially in the way of something more rare as USOs, is the anecdotal evidence. If we do have something in the way of video evidence, like even a picture of a craft going into the water, it's very few and far between. So we don't have much to go on except for people's anecdotal stories. Possibly the more you corroborate this with people of influence, maybe within the military or otherwise, then it holds a little bit more weight. But it's a very nebulous part of ufology dealing with USOs.
It is. And this is why I think, really, really do, not only maybe Antarctica, but I think the aliens live in or under the ocean for some. I just do. We've only researched 5% of it. We only mapped it, I guess. So they could be anywhere down there.
Sure. I mean, and even our own military would obviously take the opportunity to be somewhere so clandestine in way of the rest of the public eye. It would be a perfect place for extraterrestrials or terrestrials that are living somewhere within our Earth and making their ascent to the surface from time to time to come from the deepest parts of our oceans. They know we're not down there. Unless we've all, figured out remote viewing en masse, we're not going to know.
The thing about the UFOs or USOs that I like, because I believe there was an Atlantis, and I believe that it could be part of that. The Atlanteans that have maybe been trapped underwater or somehow put up this shield that protected them from the flood and they survived and thrived. I don't know. Have you ever given that any consideration?
Absolutely. The way the story goes, the way I understand it, and this is a collective interpretation from many different accounts of what happened during the fall of Atlantis, was that they did have a craft, and there were only, let's say, a handful of them compared to the rest of the population that was going to survive this cataclysmic event. And most of these were actually the higher priests or ones of enlightenment, societal figures within Atlantis. They were inside of this craft, which they hovered above the earth some hundreds of miles and watched this whole catastrophe occur. As they did, they then eventually went into one of these cavernous spaces within the earth where they took up residence. Now, the curious thing is what happened to this craft. Apparently, somehow it was moved under one of the pyramids that's over in Egypt, and it's kept in this very small compartment underground for one specific purpose. Now, people who have seen this or accounts of this in a certain way of experience talk about this craft that it looks like the Bob Lazar sports model, but the material itself is actually translucent, although it's hard as anything you can think of. So it has some sort of weird translucent quality to it, almost like it's a membrane rather than something super solid. Now, it said that there are specific people, and this is where it gets a little strange, but bear with me. There are specific people who are born in at specific points in time when a particular invasive species of extraterrestrials are interested in trying to take over the planet. This is sort of an innate protection that has been enabled through possibly some sort of council or, pre-existent agreement. I don't know exactly. But the last time this happened was in the 90s. It was either in the mid to late 90s. There was a Spanish girl or a Mexican girl. I can't remember where she was from exactly, but she was from, this central area. And she apparently was called to go into this particular craft, and I'll explain what she did. But the way this happened was either through dream or some sort of trance that all of a sudden came over her. Very young girl, I'm talking like 8 to 10 years old, so child.
Sounds like Anjali almost.
Well, there are these certain aspects, but I won't get into Anjali at the moment, at least in the way of this particular story. But the way that it goes is that she went to this craft, she got in it, and it was not something that she would think about. It was something very automatic. And through this meditation, she became one with the craft, almost as if it was an organic extension of her body. What she did was rise this thing. It must have been, in the next overtone to go through solid matter, through the ground and through the pyramids or whatever structures are above. She went above the earth, and in doing this, sent out a telepathic message or vibration that covered the earth. And essentially what this did was make every extraterrestrial of that invasive species here on the earth at the time sick to no end, to the point where they had to leave, and it created a barrier for those trying to come back in, where they would get hit with this sickness of biological nature, and they would be forced to leave the planet. Now again, this is something that is reoccurring through our history, so it's interesting to think about that, and maybe that this technology has been around since Atlantis or before.
That's unbelievable. I never knew about that story.
I think Drunvalo Melchizedek was one of the first to bring it forward. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so if I heard you correctly, this girl has the power or whatever to put a vibration out that makes the hybrid alien sick? And they
whatever negative species that is attempting to influence and take over or conquer the earth at the time.
And you know what's weird about that? How you said she levitates the craft and it's going through the earth and everything. And being that it was translucent, I was looking at something today. I'm going to bring the video up here for later. But how sound can be used to go to change the vibration of things, possibly, and maybe move them through each other, which blows me away. And this guy gives a demonstration, which we've all seen them over the years, with sand on a table, and he puts the little tuning thing on there, and it gives out this vibration, and a cool shape appears. This is amazing technology. I think that's kind of how the pyramids were built, using sound wave technology. Maybe that's the secret to it all.
Well, audio levitation is certainly something that's been observed even as recent as going out to the Tibetan establishments and watching these people perform and meditate. They have it down pat, and they'll show the right person. And I've met people who have said, I've seen this firsthand. And this is just within people. Now imagine being able to do that with stone or something of material. What was his name? Edward, I'm going to mess his last name up. Liederskein? I think it was Coral Castle. We've spoken about this before.
Oh, yeah, that's him. Yeah, right.
It may have something to do with sound and understanding, that frequency. Because again, if our physical reality is comprised of frequency, it is completely synonymous with sound. Everything around you, even though it's in its particular state, it looks inert, is actually creating a sound. And whatever metals or, elements or whatever vibrations are there, they're actually creating this fabric of harmony in our universe, which is the picture you see in front of you. It's the material you see in front of you. So I think there's something there, brother.
I think so. I want to show everybody. I found the video quickly, so and then we'll get back to the USO doco. All right, make sure we're all muted. And this is just interesting. People have seen this. I've never seen this one, but that's why it's from TikTok. I've been TikToking it a lot lately. You just sprinkled sand on the table there. It's gonna do the so wicked. What? Wait, now watch. Come on, man. What the hell? Watch this. What? I mean, what? Look at the sharp lines, the equidistance. Oh, yeah, another one? Oh, I feel like I'm in church watching this. Wow. So wicked. I tell you, I would play with that all day, cuz all day.
If anybody has any question of how sound and frequency translates to matter, the link is sacred geometry between what you just saw and physical matter in front of you. So you combine the vibrations, it creates a certain shape, it becomes a third-dimensional shape, and there's a lot of mathematics behind this to explain it, so there's a validity within it. That's the fundamental of how this universe is created right there. There's a very small and albeit limited example of it.
Exofa, thank you for the £5. It says, not USO exactly, but are you aware of the Russian divers killed by alien humanoids with helmets under Lake Baikal from declassified Russian? I am familiar with it. Wow, that'd be fun to talk about. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, and I'm familiar, but I don't know enough to go into detail. I have come across that story, though.
Yeah, we'll look into that for you, Exofa. And by the way, thank you very much. And since that's a pounder, you get one of these foreign money. It doesn't have to match exactly, but foreign. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And it should turn off. And there it goes. All right, let's get back to Preston Dennett. The man is cool. Thank you, Exofa. Mucho gusto, generoso. Thank you, everybody.
Nice guy.
Who's this guy?
I said nicest guy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Aside from you.
Well, goes without saying. Grazie. I was going to say something I forgot. In 3, 2, go.
Objects that can fly through the air, go into the water, and come out of it. They can travel through both the air and the water with ease. These are transmedium objects, USOs. But what's interesting about USOs and transmedium objects is there's not a lot of coverage on this subject. And I'm not really sure why. This particular area of ufology has not gotten a lot of attention. Very few researchers have looked into it, which is strange because I got cases of USOs, objects coming into the water and going out of the water, very early on in my research. I've written about many such cases. In fact, I do have a book that focuses solely on these type of incidents. Yet we don't get a lot of news coverage about this, and I think there are probably a number of reasons for that. One is that these reports are far more rare than regular UFO sightings. I mean, compared to UFO encounters, of which there are many hundreds of thousands, incidents of USOs and transmedium vehicles are relatively rare. I think that's one reason.
Which makes me think that because of where above the ground, we're seeing a lot of these craft. Imagine if we lived in the water. Would you think we would be seeing that many USOs if we lived in the water as we do out of the water?
You know, it's honestly a great question for the U.S. Navy or any other Navy out there in the world who sit in submarines all the time and see certain objects. Most times they'll be able to identify what they're seeing, but there are many occasions where they're not so sure. But I think Lou Elizondo at some point goes into some pretty good detail about why this is based on the technology that they're using, the sonar that they're utilizing, and the capability of that in certain waters. So as far as I could understand, I would say that although they're under the water, they're limited in way of how far they can actually see out, even if they do detect something far enough away that maybe they should be able to see it.
There was a citizen, just some dude, and he lived in a really nice rural area, upper middle class. And in a lot of upper middle class neighborhoods, there's a lot of these places like parks and green and fairways, greenways, and they have little ponds you can go fishing in. And just like on a golf course, they have a water hole, and the lake isn't that big. Well, he had one of those where he lived, like at the end of the street. And he was out walking his dog, and he hears a splash. And he saw tiny UFOs, and he wound up recording them. I don't know if you ever heard of this story. I should try to find it. And he literally recorded these UFOs going into the water, and then they'd light up when they go in the water to the bottom. Well, they went, and had a scuba gear and everything, and he went in there, and he's like, I don't know where they go. He goes, this is impossible. It's such a cool story. I keep forgetting to bring that up. But he literally got them on video. The little tiny UFOs. And I've heard stories of these tiny UFOs.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the best stories I've ever heard. I think MUFON was out there, and they're the ones who got the scuba gear and everything for them.
No kidding.
So, yeah, it's a pretty wild story.
For not a very big pond either.
It was so small that it's only 3 feet deep. 3 or 4, you could stand up, the water came up to his waist, so it didn't make sense. And then you see him on the recording going into the water. It's pretty amazing. Now, they were so fast, if you didn't know, because it left, a blur because it was going really fast. But if he had 60 frames or 120 frames a second, I'm probably sure we would have seen what it looked like. But when it went into the water, you could see it looked like a little classic disc. It's pretty wild stuff. I always thought
splash,
it was fake.
Huh?
There was a splash. He said he heard it.
Oh, there was a splash.
Very little disturbance there was, yeah.
Huh.
So to me, that made it a little more real. But just a wild, I don't know, I guess you can call that a USO UFO story.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to continue with Preston because he's incredible. So this is such a good little documentary you made for 35 minutes or so, right?
28.
28 minutes? Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh,
I hope everybody gets a chance. It's on Third Phase UFO Report. I'm surprised you didn't put it up on, but I understand you want the most people to take a look at it, and that's what we're trying to do now, Show people the work that goes into what we do. You're not just sitting at home. You're out there making documentaries every week. This guy's amazing. It's amazing the change already and the editing that the skills just keep getting better and better, right? And isn't it getting easier?
As long as you're practicing and you're trying something new every time, it starts in the field, how you're shooting it and getting it back into the studio. There's so many different angles you could go from. It's always a great time to sit down and create these documentaries that I do for everyone.
The thing is, it's like a blank sheet of paper. It's just like anything else you're creating. When we make, even the one I made this morning for 9 minutes, I sat there forever going, how am I going to do this? A lot of thought goes into it. So, a lot
of like writing a song.
Out. It is. It's the same thing.
It is. It's almost exactly the same thing. You're just using a different medium.
You want the right music to go with the right scene. You want things to edit out at the right time. You have to have everything synced up so it doesn't sound choppy. It's a lot of work. People don't realize it, but, congratulations on all the hard work. It's really paying off. It's good stuff,
thank you.
Mike.
Appreciate it, man. Really.
Yeah, no doubt. You're welcome. All right, let's continue with the old PD. And we're going to play it for another minute and a half, or whenever.
Another is because they are so unusual that perhaps people have been reluctant to speak about them. For whatever reason, USO accounts of transmedium vehicles, have not gotten their fair share of attention, at least not until recently. Now, people are beginning to wake up. There's a lot more attention being paid towards the USO phenomena, which I'm happy to see because these cases are unusual. I think they have a lot to say about UFOs and their capabilities. These objects apparently must have some sort of force field around them that allows them to fly into the water at high speeds, to move underwater at high speeds. And this says a lot about how advanced their technology is.
They described it as completely silent with the lights on, and they saw these large stadium-like lights that were pointing down and traveling across the skyline of the coral.
I don't know if you'd call it an interest, but there seems to be a connection with water.
It's kind of why.
Well, here we are at the Gulf of Mexico, the guy who got the clearest photos of all. And here in the Gulf, there are just many, many sightings.
Many sightings. Duh. Dork. God, I can't stand that guy. Look at me, I'm on video. I wanted to stop it there because the Gulf Breeze sightings. Now, this USO documentary originally, from what I remember, was supposed to be about the East Coast USOs, West Coast, Pacific Ocean, and the Gulf, and then Preston Dennett did everything, all together, the whole world. This is probably the most famous UFO sighting of, well, almost ever. I mean, the Gulf Breeze? Do you believe that guy faked it, or do you really think he caught these UFOs that look crystal clear like Billy Meyer?
I don't know. I was having a hard time when I came across this story, some time ago, and I was seeing these photos. I think even at one point, you and I, Rich, were looking at these casually. It's hard to say. Again, you bring up Billy Meyer, and if you don't believe Billy Meyer, why would you believe this guy? You know what I mean? It's almost too good to be true, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, legitimate, because I just don't know.
I tell you, man, I just don't know either. I think he did see something, and I'm just, when you watch this guy talk, he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, he was on Larry King, and he's talking with conviction, and he really did see something, I believe. Maybe he just faked it afterwards to try to show everybody this is what it looked like without actually saying it.
Support his story through some sort of dramatization without actually divulging that it's, a dramatization.
So you could see why this guy could get away with actually lying about it, telling the truth. Does that make sense? It's like he faked the actual visual, but he really did see it.
Right, so he's embellishing upon his anecdotal experience and trying to pass off evidence as part of that experience.
I'm going to bring him up again and just make a comment, and then I'll let you comment too. Because these pictures, they look terrible to me. They look awfully fake. I mean, that's as fake as it looks. In about 2 seconds, I'll take it down. Right, everybody? I mean, they don't look real. Michael, does that look real to you?
It's still very reminiscent of what Billy Meyer put forth. And again, with the clarity, it's even harder to tell, which we would have thought would go the other way. But again, why hasn't there been any other sightings that are this crystal clear? Or, obviously he was a certain proximity away from the craft. There's so many questions that I would have for Ed Walters today if I could sit down and talk to him about these specific photographs.
He's still alive.
I said if I could. I haven't reached
No,
out
I
to him,
know.
but you know
I
what?
was
Maybe
just-
it's something we should do.
Well, I think he's in Florida where I'm at, so I think the Cousins brothers know where he's at. I think they have his phone number in their Rolodex, or Dr. J.
Ah, yes, of course. One of the
Sure.
other, certainly.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit further into the doco and go back to Preston because he's starting to talk about other parts of the world. And I really like what he says here. So we're going to go back to Preston. We're sitting here with Michael Roser from DarkHour Paranormal talking about the USO documentary he dropped a few days ago on Third Phase UFO Report. And of course, we're looking at it and discussing it. If you guys have any questions, sorry. No, I'm just kidding. We'll take questions in about 30 minutes or so. How's that? So we'll do that. And we'll Michael, you can stay for 2 or 1 hours. 1 hour, okay. All right, so we're done in 2 minutes. Yep, F you. All right, 1 minute. That was good stuff. So stupid. Nobody makes me laugh.
We have fun, huh? We have fun, don't we?
Yeah. It's nice to have somebody else make me laugh than myself. Hey, Black Lotus Productions would attend. Hey, where you going? You got to go, Rich and Michael. Great conversation, Michael. Keep up the great work with the docos. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Black Lotus Productions. That's Damien, right?
Yep, that's Damian Gray and Ralph Tolucci.
You talking to me? Tolucci, that guy?
That guy, Tolucci. You know Tolucci, huh?
Oh, I know Tolucci. Tolucci. Thank you very much. All right, let's continue with the PD. That's Preston Dennett for short. I'll play this for, minute and a half or so. Thank you, Black Lotus. Giddy up. In 3, 2, go.
Met catastrophic ends, actually did retreat into the earth with their technology and have been developing it alongside possibly spiritual affect for years.
One aspect of USOs that we almost never hear about are submarines that have perhaps captured a USO. Of course, this would be very difficult to do. Submarines, as advanced as they are, do not have the ability to pull an underwater craft on board. Certainly, they've captured them on sonar. Certainly, there are many submarine UFO, USO incidents in which USOs have been detected moving around submarines. But as far as actually capturing one, a USO crash retrieval, we don't have a lot of those. There was allegedly a USO that was captured during the Battle of Los Angeles in 1941. According to government documents, a USO crashed into the water off the Pacific coast outside of Los Angeles and was recovered by the U.S. military. But submarines are pretty much primitive compared to the abilities of the USOs, which can basically swim circles around our most advanced ocean-going craft.
All right.
Yeah, you caught it.
Did you see the message I gave you in the private chat? Don't reply to it, though, to me. Don't say it out loud.
That's kind of provocative, Rich. Maybe you want to talk about this after?
Sure. That's why it's private chat. He said some pretty interesting things there, and obviously our submarine technology's gotten better over the last 50 years, but we're still swimming in mud as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the... It's amazing. That's why I think they live in the waters, because we can't do anything down there.
Well, he made a good point. I mean, even if a submarine did come across what we would consider a USO in the way of some sort of craft, how the hell would they even do a reconnaissance mission with that? I mean, yeah, they could call in ships and so forth to come to the location and zero in, but immediately, if they had to act at that moment, otherwise they miss an opportunity, how would they even accost this particular object. They couldn't.
Even if they shot a missile underwater, big deal. They just, matrix to the side. That's how slow that's going. I like the movie The Abyss. You've seen it?
That was a good movie. Yep, I do remember that.
That was such an incredible movie, and it reminds me of what I think would be underwater, living in the ocean. Obviously, water ocean. I don't know. Do you think they kind of look the way they James Cameron did in The Abyss, or do you have a different view on how they might look?
I don't think that, the thing about James Cameron's vision of that was that it was still something that existed within its environment, right? So it may still thrive, it may still hunt, has some sort of natural existence within that underwater environment. I don't think that, USOs or extraterrestrials that are living within our oceans and lakes are necessarily part of that natural environment the way that something organic, the way James Cameron was introducing would be. I think they're just taking residence down there. I think they're just making use of a space
well, that's what I
that
thought
nobody
in
else
The
is.
Abyss.
Yeah.
Wait,
So-
I had to interrupt because you're making a lot of points. So I wanted to say, so you think that in The Abyss, they were part of the natural environment or just visitors here for a little bit? Because I think they were just visiting for a little while and were about to destroy humanity.
Maybe. I'd have to revisit the movie, but the way I recall the beings themselves, they had a fluidity about them moving underwater, correct?
Yeah, but it looked like they were still inside something that protected them from the water, I thought.
Oh, maybe. Maybe you remember that more readily than I do, but...
Or wrong. I mean, I am a certain age now.
But you watch your movies, and I don't sometimes remember those details when it comes to cinema. Documentaries and so forth, yes, but cinema, I don't always pick those up. But maybe you're right about that. Either way, even if it wasn't that, the case, and they were in some sort of suit, I don't know. Still, they're off being aggressive. I think most of these wouldn't want you to know that they were there. And in fact, I have a sneaking suspicion, and nothing to back this up, but I think that when they do go down into the water and they do head straight to the floor of the ocean, they're not necessarily stationed on the floor of the ocean. They may be underground, way deep in some cavern, and it opens up into a different space. We don't really know. But you brought up a good point with the gentleman that had the experience with the smaller UFOs. He went down there and saw nothing. He says, where did they go? But clearly they were going down there. So they reached this 3-foot end, and then what happens? So we see them coming out of the water, and we see them going into the water. We don't necessarily see what they're doing when they're underneath the water.
Well, that's what I say here. They live under the water. They've got a little place to go hide. The door opens up, just like it would if it was at Groom Lake, Area 51 area. They go into the side of the mountain. You can't tell, according to Bob Lazar, it's painted to look like the mountain, so, we wouldn't be able to see it, but Bob Lazar. Let's continue on a little further. Let me see what else we got over here. You have any recommendations, anything you want to bring up about the movie, anything I don't know or should know?
The movie or the documentary?
Your movie. I'm sorry, your documentary.
No, I think you're covering all the important parts here, and I definitely suggest that those who haven't seen it in its entirety go and check it out at Third Phase UFO Report. It was a fun video to put together. It was obviously something new for me. It was a different kind of challenge having all of you involved, and you know what? Yeah, there are things that I could have done differently, but by and large, other than wearing those pants that nobody seems to like while I'm on the beach, I think it came out pretty well.
The cargo pants?
Yeah. The funny thing is, I've had a couple comments about maybe how those pants look, and I'm going to tell you guys one thing right now. Those pants, first of all, are way too big for me. I was coming back from camping in Montauk, and it was the last clean pair that I had, and I didn't have a belt for whatever reason. I didn't expect to wear this pair of pants, and so Brian Minnick gave me a zip tie, which I tied at the front. So when you look at it, it looks a little bunchy in the front there, guys, so that's what that is, okay?
Easy. I'm going to start calling you Michael Horn.
I'm being easy. Hey, now. Hey.
Hey.
Now you be easy.
Yeah, I will. By the way, that debate with Michael Horn and everybody might be on, actually, now. So I'll find out later today or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Should happen this week.
Fantastic.
That's an incredible debate. Yep. I think Cal Korff is going to be there, and FrapSap will be there. And I don't know if Alien Scientist wants to come on, but I know he was trying to maybe get Michael Horn on. I don't know what's going on anymore, but it took a little bit because I didn't know what, I can't even think of it, Cal Korff was doing, because he was busy for a few weeks, and Michael Horn was getting impatient, so he's going, hey, the Alien Scientist, you want to have a debate about it? I'm like, what about me? Thought we were going to do the debate. You have one debate inside the community. Why would I want to do it then? Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to let the people know. All right, here we go.
Off the chest. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, anyway, I just want to let people know that the debate's still probably happening.
I hope so.
Me too. It's going to be great. Here we go.
Excess of 50 knots or so. That's the official story. However, I have learned from unofficial sources, from people within the military-industrial complex, that we do have a technology that allows us to move a little bit faster than that. We have degaussing technology. We have supercavitation technology, which basically degaussing is sort of hiding or mitigating.
Hold it for a minute, Rich.
Magnetic.
I want to talk about degaussing very quickly and why this is really a relevant topic to USOs at large. Now, in the infamous Philadelphia experiment, we do know that on the USS Eldridge, for a fact, that they did have degaussing equipment that was, by today's standards, considered primitive, but they were attempting to use that. And of course, degaussing is generally used to hide from underwater mines or detect in a certain way. So, with that in mind, when they actually did the Philadelphia experiment, with this degaussing equipment involved, along with, I think it was 3 large generators on the ship, they unfortunately ended up creating the synthetic electromagnetic field that, changed the density of the material within. And you guys know the story. Those I won't go into. That technology was being experimented possibly back in the 1940s, and first of all, Tesla might have been involved. Von Neumann was in Tesla. Extraterrestrial reported on occasion that he spoke to a different species, and they had some sort of communication.
You're gone. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're choppy. I can't hear it.
So for
Michael is frozen in time, and he can't even hear the reply. Who pushed the degauss button? That is the best comment of the night. I don't know, Michael. What happened? He's gone. That's sad. Well, that was a good show. What happened? Is he there? He's back.
Was it the degaussing?
Nope.
What happened? I don't.
Somebody hit the degauss. You're still having issues, brother.
Am I? Can you at least hear me?
Well, even that with the video, it was off. Maybe you want to go dark for a minute. See if that helps.
Yeah,
let me
just stop the camera.
All right.
We're good?
Okay.
So to finish out my thought here, maybe the extraterrestrials that Tesla was speaking to, or whoever had connection back then in the 30s and 40s, was feeding them a bit of information in the way of technology. Could be supercavitation, could be transmedium materials, and then allowing them to experiment to come to their own conclusions on how to use this particular technology. Thus, we get, a failed experiment known as the Philadelphia experiment, and then yet it was corrected some years later and researched further. So degaussing is important when you talk about USOs because perhaps that's where the technology had its beginnings from. And perhaps whatever extraterrestrials, if it is indeed extraterrestrials that are driving these crafts into water and out, have already mastered this, eons ago, and they gave us a little inkling towards it. And perhaps if we're doing it, we understood that degaussing and went beyond it in way of technology. That's all I wanted to talk about in way of degaussing.
Yeah, no, that's
sorry.
That's good. No, it's great stuff, man. And I forgot what I was going to say. I know what I wanted to ask you before. What did you take away from this experience of creating a USO documentary? Anything new?
In way of the field itself, no, I can't say that what has been presented was, something that I didn't know or I hadn't learned about before in certain ways. It was the presentation that I wanted to bring forth. This is not a documentary for, every single person in the field who's been studying this for 20, 30, 40 years. This is also an introduction to those who are not necessarily familiar with USOs, and to get them thinking a little bit, talking about the sightings, and introduce the topic at large, because again, as I mentioned in the video, it's just one area of ufology that does not have enough light shed on it.
And that's what Preston Dennett was saying. Something I've always thought about is there's just not a lot of USO reports.
It's true.
We don't live on the water. We live, I think 80% of the population of the world lives on the coasts, but man, a lot of the sightings are inland, it seems, even though there are a lot on the ocean. But
we have to wonder too, just like our airline pilots and military that's up in the skies daily, and obviously they have been told at certain points to be quiet about what they see up there. At some point, some of this was stripped back in way of restriction, and some of it are talking a little more freely today, saying, yeah, almost every time I go up into the sky, I see something that I don't know what it is. I'm told to ignore it. Who knows what our navies are seeing out there? Traversing the seas, you're making their rounds, they'll see something. You'll never find that book. You'll never find it. I thought Preston was going to say the expression I had found, which was log it and dog it. Log it and bury it. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever hear about it, and that's it. It's done.
Then why even log it?
It's a very good question.
I guess it's for whenever the truth does come out. Then who gives a crap about everything else if the truth came out?
I don't even know if it was a literal expression.
Yeah, I know.
Like put it in the back of your mind and forget about it.
Well, it's something I always think about. All right, so if you're going to log it and then put it away where nobody's ever going to find it or read it, then what's the purpose of even logging it for?
Oh, you have a great point.
The point is very important, actually, because that means they know there's something out there, and they know that it's important enough to document it, but not let it out to the public. That's why. Capiche? Oh, two capiche. Look at that.
We're rolling here, guys. We're rolling.
If we get
Stick
to 5,
around.
forget it. If we get to 5 capiches, I quit.
My internet will give out.
More PD coming up. That's Preston Dennett to you kids.
Magnetic field that surrounds a ocean-going craft. And submarines are all about trying to remain hidden. And it's my understanding that we do have technology that has advanced in this area. Supercavitation is basically creating a field around a submarine that allows it to move more quickly in the water than it otherwise would. And I have been told from sources that are in a position to know that we have advanced with supercavitation technology far greater than what is publicly revealed.
Of course.
And what's interesting about USOs, trans-medium extraterrestrial vehicles, is they absolutely have this technology. There are several accounts in which USOs are traveling under the water at not a couple of 100 miles per hour, but just as quickly as they are seen moving in the sky, thousands of miles per hour. So it's clear that they have the ability to exert some kind of force field around them that pushes the water molecules away and allows them to move at super high speeds. We don't know how they do this. It probably does have something to do with the electromagnetism anti-gravity technology, as this is how most UFOs are apparently powered. Certainly this is what contactees have been told. At any rate, this is the secret to transmedium vehicles, to USOs, is their very advanced understanding of the electromagnetic spectrum, gravitational waves, and their ability to sort of push water molecules out of the way so that they can move underwater at super high speeds.
So why can't what he just said, pushing water out of the way to get to high speeds, why can't they use sound wave technology for that? Or can
I think
they?
that they would. Well, I mean, I think it's a derivative of sound wave technology. I mean, again, going back to frequency. Look at some of our nature. For example, there's a spider. Oh God, I can't remember the name of this particular species. It's a water spider, and it basically, floats above the water like, many other insects of that ilk do. But the interesting thing is that it can dive underneath the water, capture a fish, and then pull itself back up. Now, it'd be one thing to say, all right, well, how does this happen? The truth is, they form this supercavitation around them and wave an air bubble. So it's taking one element of the environment and bringing it into another. And, through that, they're able to, obviously breathe and exist underwater for quite some time. There are spiders that actually are able to do this in a way that their their lungs will create an osmosis of sort within the air in the bubble that they bring down with them. So maybe that's a very simplified version, a natural version of supercavitation, and perhaps this technology, at least in our interest, has been observed and perhaps replicated.
That's wicked. Yeah, I've heard about that spider.
There's several of them, actually. Yeah.
Don't they? I don't know about I never heard about the one that has the reverse osmosis with the lungs, that it can reuse the air bubble over and over. That to me is phenomenal.
The second one, as soon as it runs out of that air, it starts taking it from the water, so it can technically breathe underwater too. That's evolution.
That's evolution, but isn't that what we're doing here? We're trying to duplicate evolution with technology.
I think most of our technology has been inspired by something in nature or a challenge or witnessed. Look at flying. Oh, there's a bird in the air. I would like to fly one day. That's all it takes. Next thing you know, you have airplanes.
Yeah. It took us a while though. And back then people were actually saying there's no way a man can fly. And there was an article that went out in a newspaper, I don't know, maybe the New York Times, that said flying will be an impossibility in our lifetimes. And then 2 days later, the Wright brothers were flying their airplane. So it's just bizarre, man. Even back then in 1908, I think they started flying, the Wright brothers. Even back then, people were just throwing off the scent of what's really happening. Just like we have Lou Elizondo, disinfo guy. I believe he's disinfo. I believe we have the technology now to do what Preston's talking about, that he's talking about these USOs going hundreds, if not thousands of miles an hour in the water, which is crazy.
100%.
Yeah. But then you bring in the biology of a spider that creates this, what is it?
It's supercavitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we be able to duplicate that? I don't see why that would be an issue. I could see it happening in 100 years. If not, if we were thousands of years advanced like the aliens, my God, the sky's the limit.
I'm sure if we're sitting here talking about this now, somebody else has observed that in nature way before we did and possibly have worked it into some sort of technology. I think there's a lot, again, that's observed out of nature that eventually becomes something much more in the way of what we utilize.
That's an interesting topic, actually. I wonder what else there is out there. I mean, think about it for a second. What do we use from animals? Not from animals, but what have we created that are used in the wild that we use for ourselves? Oh,
God, I'm sure I could come up with quite a few things. I mean, the observance.
Scuba gear?
I don't know. I mean, this is something we could sit and kind of look through, because I'm sure there are many examples, especially in the way of architecture or other topographic. Let's put it this way. What's the word I'm looking for? Terraformed Earth. Somebody had to understand the layout of that, and then to understand the area that they were working with, how it's going to look, because they're creating solid ground and earth essentially over what's already been there, or they're reducing that, augmenting it to a certain point. Now, going through certain animals, again, the bird, I think, is a great example, because when people first started trying to fly, they were making these wing-like contraptions and then jumping off high spots, like just to mimic that particular observance they see in the sky. So I'm sure if we sat and really kind of looked into it for a moment, we could come up with lists of examples of how we've been influenced by nature in that way.
The bird. Well, real quick, you got a bird, so we know that. And what else? I can't think of anything else. I keep going back to a turtle for some reason. So what is that, a submarine? No.
I don't know. I keep thinking of a housefly, and there was something with the housefly, whether it was habit or the speed in which it flapped its wings. I mean, there was something devised off of that. I can't remember what it was, though.
Yeah, I think it was the microchip fly. I think they actually made a little flying drone fly. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but...
No, I mean, just in the way of looking at its flight patterns or the oscillation of its wings, they were able to derive some sort of usable information that they would apply to a helicopter or something like that.
Yeah. What about the... somebody said fins. When you're swimming, we use fins.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Okay.
Good point. Absolutely. That goes in line with your scuba.
Yeah. Well, I think, my scuba really doesn't count, though. I think that is a good one, like fins, because we're actually using something that, like, it would be used on an animal. Like, the animals don't have tanks of air on them,
Oh, I understand. It's more specific. Yeah, that's a good point.
Sonar. The Echo. Wow, Mike Johnson.
Yep. Yep.
Wow, this is interesting. I like this.
Hell yes.
Sonar, that is amazing. Yeah, Echo the Dolphin. Remember that game?
Oh, I do. I had many frustrating hours. Oh, it was gorgeous.
It was a hard game, but it was fun. Mm-hmm. Fun. Yeah, dolphin sonar. What else would there be? See, that's hard.
That was a good one, though.
Yeah, that was great. The military seems to come up with this stuff first.
Always.
Kevlar.
Yep.
What about Kevlar? It was from Alien. That was from Roswell, apparently. So was laser tech. It's all bullshit. If you believe Philip Corso. I believe it was Philip Corso who said that. Well, I can't think of anything else. You?
At the moment, I can't, but I'm sure we'll come up with something as time goes on here.
I don't think we will. I think the chat room will.
That would be better.
I don't know. We might. Yeah, I know, right? Let's not think about it.
We can keep talking about other things. You guys think of something else, let us know.
Yeah. All right, we're going to share the screen. I got to bring it back up because StreamYard blows. For this, it does. All right, here we go.
And we know this is something they can do because we have got many reports of objects coming down out of the sky at very high speeds and diving into the water and not making much of a splash at all. Whereas any kind of craft we have that would move at that speed would be blown into a million bits. And there are many reports of objects coming out of the water. And there are a few scattered reports of objects being seen going into the water and out of the water during the same incident. So the point is, this is something the ETs have learned how to do, and we apparently have not.
As time goes on, we may have more information about USOs at large, but in the meantime, they remain somewhat of a nebulous subject. Now, with this enigma on our hands, we're going to continue to watch for UFOs, as well as other objects that don't seem to be in their natural environment or don't fit some sort of status quo that we're familiar with in the way of science.
These things are everywhere. And something about the water
has a special attraction, maybe a need.
No. Nee. Jerk.
Water that can divert hurricanes.
Oh,
You have to-
Yeah, get out of here. That's right. I found that story about the Mexican government thinking that for real, that there's an underground base that has aliens in it that diverts or diminishes hurricanes in the Gulf.
That's amazing. To
People
speculate.
have seen, and the story's really good. I mean, they literally seen lights going into the water and out of the water on the regular. And apparently it's been documented, but I mean, this goes back 50 years. I think 1966. So, yeah, 55 years. That's crazy.
I swear I recall coming across this several times in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And it was there were articles stating that there were certain countries who had very publicly said to their population, there are extraterrestrials amongst us, they do land in our country, just leave them alone, let them go about their thing. We can't do anything, so just, you know what, that's what it is, leave it there. Mexico was one of the countries I recall that had said this. I think some over in Europe had mentioned it, but it was only a handful. But that's still kind of notable, and I haven't found anything to refute or to support that since, but it was out there at one point. I wonder how much truth there is to that. Have you ever heard anything like that, Rich?
I don't know. To be honest, I've been racking my brain since you brought it up, and I can't recall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to say no.
I mean, I would figure this would be big news at one point, but, you know, if you're announcing to an entire country this is what it is, it was just weird because it wasn't just one. It was several countries.
I know Mexico did, for sure. But I'm not sure. Brazil did. That's true. I don't know if it was Peru or some other place, but, well, I just wanted to mention one thing about the hurricanes being diminished by an underground base by aliens. It only diminished the hurricanes that were going towards the Mexican side of the Gulf. There was a certain city it was protecting. Yeah, and that's because that's where they live, too. They mixed in. It's weird.
So it was an intentional range that it had, maybe?
Yeah, well, it was intentional to keep hurricanes away from that region.
But only to a certain extent.
Huh?
Well, you're saying, well, there must have been a radius that this would cover.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, and you're saying that the ETs existed in that space too, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting a website. I just talked about Third Phase, and, you know, I used to have a website. Maybe put all the documents up there and things about the show and stuff like that, but people always say, I get a lot of emails, where do you get your information from?
Mm-hmm.
And I just say social media. I mean, where else? I mean, same as everybody else. I mean, where else can I go? I'm not doing any FOIA requests. So, but I don't know. I always thought about getting something like that again. But anyway, there isn't too much left of the documentary. Preston Dennett. You know, I wanna look at something real quick. Can we? I want to show you, and I want your thoughts on this. I'll show it to you, and then we'll talk because I don't want the
Sounds
echo.
good. Yep.
And here we go. These pictures in the background. I know there's a clearer shot of them earlier, but I wanted to, I don't know do you know what those pictures are? There we go. That looks like a little girl or a child inside a UFO in water. And then this one's holding a pickaxe and some sort of door there. Do you know anything about those?
No, I can only guess that these are hand-drawn pictures that maybe Preston has spoken to people about. Experiencers may have submitted that to him, but I don't know exactly where the origin of those pictures comes from.
I thought they were from his mind or his experiences.
Oh God,
That's what
maybe.
I was told. Oh,
Maybe.
I didn't
Okay,
know
so
if you knew.
I don't know. Yeah, I was just guessing.
Maybe I should email him. What do those mean? I think he's talked about them before. That's how I got it in my brain.
I'm curious now too.
There was a guy who was in the Navy, and his USO story is one of the best. I can't remember it, but he saw these green lights as he was walking along the pier, and there was this bubbling. Oh, Shag Harbor. It was
Okay, yeah.
Shag Harbor. Oh my God, that's like, oh, I love that story. It's so unbelievable. For days, I think maybe a week or two, they followed around these UFOs, these lights in the water, and then one day they were just gone.
Disappeared.
Yeah, one of my favorites of all time. That's an incredible story. All right, I wanted to finish this off with this. The lady who calls 911 from Hawaii. Yep, yeah, I'm bringing it up. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Although Mariah's had a couple days to think about it, she says she's still baffled by what she saw.
To this day, I don't know. If you guys can find out what it was, I'll let you know, you know what I mean?
Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Although UFO sightings are plentiful in Long Island Sound and ultimately the Atlantic Ocean, USO sightings are scarce. There's the submarine base in Groton, Connecticut, and Montauk used to harbor subpens as well. Plum Island is a biological testing facility, all of which may lure the interest of those creating this technology. Along the East Coast, we find USO sightings peppered amongst the surf, stories that toss in the waves as readily as we toss them under tongue, eager to comprehend what we've witnessed.
USOs are seen all over the world. The East Coast does have some pretty significant accounts. I know there was a wave of USO sightings off the coast of North Carolina in the 1990s. A very interesting USO account on the East Coast comes from a gentleman I interviewed personally by the name of Ray Sachs, who was an electrician's mate on the USS Clamagore. This is a Navy submarine which carried nuclear-tipped torpedoes. And according to Ray, in 1971, one evening, the Clamagore was traveling up the East Coast on the surface at about 12 knots. He was on watch with another petty officer. The commander was also on the deck, as was the second in command, when a USO showed up. It came zooming up to the USS Clamagore at about 100 knots from the stern and began to pace the Clamagore right alongside it. This was a very bright, round, white light underwater. They couldn't tell quite how large, 50 feet, 100 feet, but it was very close to their submarine, far too close for it to be any conventional submarine or other object. Caused great concern. This did not appear on sonar. And one by one, the higher ranking officers came up on deck because they also wanted to take a look at this. And this USO paced the USS Clamagore for a good 15 minutes before darting off at about 85 knots in another direction. It's a very interesting USO case, which was apparently not recorded in the official log, according to Ray.
Oh, there they go again. Not putting it in the official log.
Of course it wasn't. Of course it wasn't.
Come on now. Oh, I got to get you out of here. Come on now. All right, anybody have any questions? Type it in all caps. If you have a USO, that's a question. Michael, USO.
Yeah, USO. Yeah.
Okay. USO.
OSU? OSU.
SUO.
Yeah, no. SOU. And you, nope, you already did it.
UOS.
I like that one. I'm getting tongue
question.
tripped here now. It's a great question. Best
All
one we've
caps.
had tonight.
Yeah, got right to the point. Good stuff. Anybody have any questions? Type it in all caps. I thought you guys said Snug Harbor. We're professionals. And it was me, Shag Harbor, Tina Mobley. Yeah, she's funny. I lived in a place in Hertford, North Carolina, many years back on the water, and it was called Shag Harbor. Huh. Isn't it Shag Harbor?
Maybe it's two different places then.
I wonder. I always thought it was the Shag. All right, here we go. Dorothy Hawkins with a question. USOs off the California coast? Yeah, you take that one first.
That's really, really nice of you. You know what? I'm the guest. I extend that to you. Why don't you go ahead and start talking about those first?
Yeah, fine. Right off of Malibu, California. Absolutely. The Catalinas. Definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so what I wanted to say... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I was just being a jerk.
No, that was a very funny jerk, though. I like funny jerks.
I don't know anything about the USOs off of California. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that wasn't part
I
of
don't
the
really
document. That wasn't your part. That was... We'll have to get third phase on for that.
Yeah, that was more for third phase cover in that side of the ocean. But I will say, in way of the Atlantic Ocean and Long Island Sound, the Atlantic Ocean, yes. I mean, you go down towards New Jersey, and you get more
Wait
southerly.
A minute. That's not the question. How can you go into? We got.
I heard. You know what?
USOs off the nobody said anything about the Atlantic yet.
I want to say something really funny, but I can't think of it.
I hate when that happens.
It's terrible. I'm right there.
It's rare,
I understand.
isn't
All
it
eyes
rare?
are on me.
I interrupted you. I did. I did, because this isn't talk whatever you want to talk about. I'm joking. Yes, Dorothy, the Malibu area, as we were talking about, people have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of UFOs, and of course the Battle of LA. Don't want to forget about that back in 1940. Blah. Section 8, Michael, this will be yours. Wouldn't they be called OSPs? No, never mind. I don't. What is that? What is an OSP?
I was going to ask the same question.
Observable, submersible powers?
I don't
understand the question.
What's the acronym?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We got to learn the acronym first. Oh,
Mike Johnson to the rescue.
USPs.
Oh, USPs.
Unidentified submergible. I don't know. I still don't know.
What's the spell it out for? Section 8, would you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Just spell it out. Oh, what about the Atlantic side? Mike Johnson coincidentally asked.
So again, there are many sightings that go, extend from Washington down to New Jersey, Virginia, all the way down the southern seaboard there. But up in Long Island Sound, which is what I was very interested in, being from that area, I could have sworn that there must have been something in the way of a USO sighting, and I found absolutely nothing. So when I talked to Preston, who really would be the expert on this particular phenomenon, at least from a research standpoint, if you want to say that, he also hadn't heard much in way of USO sightings out that way. And of course, yes, we do have a couple bases out that way, submarine bases. So it would stand to reason that there would be a reason for them to be there, or at least testing some of this equipment if it were us. But they haven't done it in that alcove there that is Long Island Sound. So, yeah, many going all the way up and down, but not where I am.
Well, and also on the east coast of Florida, in the Atlantic, of course, Bermuda Triangle is out there. You got the what else is over there? I don't know. I guess just that.
The Bermuda Triangle, right?
See, some people, and if you could, I don't know if anybody knows this. I don't know if you knew this, but if you look at the triangle, go straight through the Earth and come out the other side, you would come out of Japan's or China's Devil's Triangle.
I thought I heard that somewhere. I never really looked into it. That's true?
Yeah, I did a little story on it, so that's how I remember.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's wild, isn't it?
That's really interesting.
It is, because it makes me think about the Earth's core and the way it spins and creates the magnetosphere, or whatever it is you want to talk about, the electromagnetic wave that's around Earth with gravity. I believe that there are these little vortexes under the underground that are constantly swirling, which gives us strange anomalous lights and people disappearing. I don't know, man.
I would say that's fair to say something along those lines. Sure, absolutely. Observable sphere phenomenon.
I like that.
I do too.
Wow. How do
Rolls
we know?
right off
Are
the
they? They're not always spheres, though.
That's correct.
This is what we do. You know what I mean? This is what we do. We ruin people's lives. Dorothy, you already asked one question, but it is a good one here. What about UFOs in, Lake Michigan, of course.
Yeah.
And the Lake Ontario?
Both Great Lakes.
Lake Ontario's got amazing sightings.
And this is constant. This is happening in the current day, that there are these fluctuations of sightings out there with UFOs going into the water and coming out. So yeah, that's actually a really good one, Dorothy.
I got an idea for you.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 to the USO phenomena. Now you're going to do America's Great Lakes and rivers. Sorry, I didn't mean to give you all that work.
No, it's fine. It's just a matter of getting out there, which
no,
I could do.
I know.
Don't tempt me, bro. You know I'll do it.
Well, maybe I'll do it.
All right, I'll see you there.
Denbub says New York is king of... Oh, right. Yep, it is king of strangest, but that is an all-cap non-question, which is illegal. You can't have an all-cap question non-question. Huh? You just can't do it. There's a lot of questions here. If I don't get to your question, it's not my fault. Do you think the Great Lakes Triangle has anything to do with USOs? I didn't know there was a Great Lakes Triangle.
I didn't
either. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of it.
Off-world Adam, is there a name for that? Some sort of familiar moniker that we could look into? Because I wasn't aware of it either. I know the Great Lakes have their own, enigmas about them, and there's lots of odd sightings and wave cryptids and paranormal activity, but I didn't know that there was a triangle. If there is, that's pretty interesting.
I'm trying to use my Rolodex in my brain, and I just can't find it. All right, next. Felix Cordova. It's partial all caps, so we'll let it slide. What about Mariana Trench, Puerto Rico? Yeah, deepest part of the ocean. What about it? Huh? What do you want from me?
Perfect place, huh?
Nice. It's empty. Nobody goes there.
Yeah, nobody comes back.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, sure. Mariana Trench has always been very interesting, and obviously the depth there will lend a little bit more to the mystery in the way of imagination, at very least. Have there been many sightings around the Mariana Trench in way of USOs? I'm not sure, but that would be something curious to look into. Yep,
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't recall anything at all because, first of all, it's very, very deep. We've only been down there twice, I think, in history.
Something like that, right.
Cameron went all the way to the bottom, and they had the crack in the window, and they had to go back up.
It's pretty amazing.
Carrie Rose, thank you, Off-World Adam. Everyone in favor of hearing Richie's background vocals on the Crop Circle song tonight, say aye. I don't think that's going to happen.
Wait a minute, that's not a question.
No.
The statement.
Let's see. Dorothy's, no, not a question. United and pissed, that's UAP. All right. Let's see. I live right outside of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. They built the first nuke here, and now that a lot of government labs are hidden under everyone's noises. Yeah. True.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
More than you think.
Lake Ontario, Bermuda Triangle.
Let's take a look right now.
That's an LOBT. That's a lot. Let's see. Lake Huron. Oh, Huron. Yeah. They've had them in every one. Here's a question. This is a nice little... well, people are saying aye, but it's got to be everybody, all 140. So if I don't get a unanimous aye, I will not sing. Of course I will. Once I say goodbye to Michael, maybe we'll end the show that way. Robert Morgan asked, were you ever picked up by a UFO at Goof On Radio? It's Goof On, by the way, just so you know. Or Michael. Michael, you go first. You ever been picked up by a UFO, USO, UAP?
Not yet, but I'm keeping my eyes to the skies. How about you, Rich?
I was waiting for you to ask. Of course I haven't. Not that I'm aware of.
Right.
I've had dreams. Great dreams, by the way. They seemed real, but they weren't. Everybody knows. You know what dreams are? Dreams are building other universes for your brain. That's what your brain does. Your brain, when you go to sleep and you dream. You know, I had a dream last night, Michael. This is no joke. I'm glad you brought it up. I had a dream that my teeth were falling out. Not these teeth, like they were real. But I had a dream that I tried putting it back in, and I was putting it in backwards, and then I'm like, oh no, and I woke up going, oh no, I actually woke up going like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Well, I wonder what that means. When I've never had a dream where my teeth were falling out, or this tooth.
Really?
Yeah, it was only one tooth.
That's definitely
And then I went
happening.
like this, and I go, and I can see the big black thing, and, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks stupid. I'm Mike Tyson. Oh my god, that's Tyson. I can't believe you figured it out, Rich. You're really Mike Tyson.
That was one of the classic dreams I remember looking into when I was in high school. I got, multiple dream books and interpretation, stuff like that. You'd look in there, and there was always a section about people's teeth falling out. Now, there were many different interpretations for this, from you aren't expressing something important to something more personal, but it seems to be that most people have had this weird dream where their teeth are falling out. I've had it several times in my life, if not more. I mean, from what I can recall, but I've definitely had that dream before.
I got it. I pulled it up. Teeth falling out are associated with loss and important life changes, which hasn't happened. This
Okay, so that's
dream
wrong.
could This dream could indicate that you're dealing with some kind of loss, like an abrupt end to a relationship or a job change. No, nothing's changed. Making costly compromises. No. See, bullshit.
Well, what
That's
the hell are
not
you
true.
looking
No.
at?
Huh?
What are you looking at?
The meaning of having a dream where your teeth fall out.
According to who?
Oh. According to Delta Dental. All right. Let's go to the Sleep Foundation. That's so funny. All right, how about this? All right, have you ever dreamed about your teeth falling out? Perhaps you even had this dream more than once. It's reasonable to feel a little disturbed after having such a dream. You might wake up wondering if there's a deeper meaning that your subconscious is trying to tell you. Perhaps this dream is accompanied by a feeling of loss, brings up worries about losing. It's the same thing. If you're having a dream like this, you're not alone. Research exploring common dreams tells us that 39% of the population has experienced dreams about their teeth falling out, rotting, or breaking. Yes, and at least one time in their lives. Recurring teeth dreams are reported by 16% of sleepers, and 8.2% report having teeth dreams regularly.
Curious.
A particularly vivid dream of teeth falling out may naturally raise concerns about your health, well-being, or sleep quality. Oh, come on. Let's just throw, you're not having enough sex, you're not eating the right food, you're too fat, you're too skinny. Come on, man. Give me something to blanket with.
See,
all right.
These kind of things, especially when it comes to dreams, are more impactful in way of significance, I think, if you're having repeating experiences within dreams. So if you're dreaming somebody's chasing you through the same alleyway, you take the same left, and they finally catch you at the same corner time and time again, or your teeth are falling out every single night, sort of in the same setting in the dream, there's something more to it. But, it's hard for somebody to make a blanket statement about dreams, because dreams are so incredibly personal.
Nathan says, you moved to Florida. Yeah, 4 months ago. We're going to have a dream. Let's have a dream in 2025. Why don't I? Oh, you moved 5 years ago. I'm like, oh, Jesus, no wonder why I had that dream. Come on. No, I don't believe it. Not buying it. I have a really interesting thought about that. And you know what I saw, about the image I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
What if that was in my brain when I was sleeping, and I was living through the eyes
sort
of
of,
the...
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's very curious, because if you were at all empathic...
Yes, and
you know,
I am.
Yeah.
I am an empath, without a doubt. As much as I don't believe in bullshit, I believe that because I do believe in some of it.
Absolutely. You could have been
Actually,
picking
I
that
believe
up, dude.
more than I'm... Yeah. And I'm believing more than I'm telling everybody.
Of course.
I really do believe in... I don't believe in pure psychic ability, like you can just read a mind or see the future. But I believe we, as a human being, have the ability to feel other things, which brings us all the way back to the beginning of the show where we talked about sound and vibration. I think that is the key to everything. I really do. That's why music's so important.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, there are people out there, few and far between, who actually don't like music. Now, because it's such a small group of people...
I never met anybody.
I didn't until I got to college, and I actually met a girl who said flat out, I don't like listening to music, which blew my mind as a musician, of course, because I couldn't live without it. But, through... well, I wasn't with her. She was in one of my classes. And I still couldn't wrap my head around it. But I've thought about this throughout the years. How can there be a group of folks who just don't like music? Well, the only thing I could come up with is a very simple and slipshod sort of explanation, and that is that perhaps in this incarnation, that's not supposed to be their focus. It's not something they vibe with or what have you. The same way maybe I don't like, I don't know, horror movies or something like that. I love horror movies, but
I didn't think of that.
It's such a broad thing, because everything you go outside, you're listening to the din of the city, and there's a musical quality to that if you were to look at it in a certain light. Remember the Jetta commercials where they were shutting the doors and making the beats out of the different sounds organically? So life is music, life is harmony, and it just seemed weird that people were kind of outside of that. I don't know.
Somebody to not like music, I would think, doesn't like art, doesn't like anything that requires thinking from within or creating. It's weird. That type of person probably has nightmares every night.
I mean...
Their teeth falling out. Actually, I thought the dream did get scary, though, because as it was happening, I'm like, oh my God, are my other teeth going to fall out? And that's when I woke up.
Well, you start thinking that. In the dream,
yeah, and I got really scared, and I always notice that with my dreams. I always wake up, probably everybody does, right when you're getting to the point of either hitting the ground, when you're falling, and people say if you die in your dream, you're going to die in reality. No, I've watched myself bounce off the ground as an observer. As soon as I hit the ground, I'm standing over here watching myself recoil. It's pretty cool.
There have been plenty of times... and I'll recount this real quickly because I still find it odd. And there was a dude that I used to work with in the restaurant industry, a tall guy who was young, became a good friend of mine, but more of an acquaintance in where we worked, but, friend nonetheless. And he left the company, and that was what it was. So I hadn't had contact with him for a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years at this point. And I had this dream that I was flying above the ocean. And I've had this dream several other times, and I've always equated it to some sort of astral projection. But I'm flying above the ocean, and all of a sudden, I start feeling myself losing the energy, like I'm getting tired, and I start realizing that I'm starting to sink closer and closer towards the water. And oddly enough, right over my head, it felt like I was on some sort of road, if that makes any sense, being up in the air. I don't know how it makes sense, but this is what it felt like. A truck flew over the top of me as if there was a road above me, turned around, and this kid... he got out of the truck in like one fell swoop, and as I was falling, he grabbed my hand, pulled me back up. Immediately I had energy, and he went down with the truck, and I continued on. And that happened one more time in the dream before I finally woke up because I felt exhausted going back and forth. And I sat up and I thought, what the hell is this about? It was so vivid. The feelings were there. When he grabbed my hand, there was energy. Before he did, I was falling, and he did it twice. Now, I don't know the kid very well, but I knew him enough that I could go up to him and say, hey, listen, I had this weird dream about you.
Yeah.
So I shared it with him one time, and he, of course, didn't really have any understanding either, but he was kind of acting the same way that you were. He was like, wow, that's really crazy, because he has an understanding of at least astral projection. He has some sort of spirituality in that way, but you know, maybe not as full on as what you and I might possess. But it's just, it was weird. It's very vivid. Every second I remember falling, I could look down and see every ripple in the waves. The clouds were in the sky. Sun was out to the left somewhere. Just strange, man.
That is, and the way you described it, I was able to envision it, and that must have been wild. When he lifted you up, did you like feel your stomach go out? You know, like you get that, like you're falling feeling?
No,
You
it
know
felt
that
like I had
feeling?
instant energy. No, because I felt like I
Oh,
was doing
wow.
that when I was going down. I felt like my stomach was dropping a little bit, and I started
Oh,
feeling like,
whoa.
kind of feeling, and that's when I looked up and he had reached it. Literally was like this, and I just grabbed his hand as quickly as I could, and as soon as I did, it was like, boom, you've got all your energy back, and whoop, went right back up to buoyancy, and I was up in the air, and that's when he went back down.
You guys, see, this is what blows my mind. Like, you may have had some sort of relationship, and I hate saying it, but you never know, like in a past life or something like that, where you guys were buddies. And, you know, just in this life, you're whatever, but maybe in a past life, your paths still crossed. But in maybe one way or another, he saved you in that other universe or reality. I just love this stuff.
Could be a soul family phenomenon,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, not everybody in your soul family is going to be your closest mate here in
Right.
life. I mean, you might just meet somebody, you have a great connection, you work with them for a year, and that's it. But you always remember this guy because he was a real close friend of yours. And yet, maybe he was your mother in another life, or maybe you were his father in another life, and you're not going to know that, you know what I mean, even looking into it at the time, because you're just there experientially. Maybe you don't really have a purpose with this person in the path that you've chosen, but you've enjoyed them so much, you love that energy, that you both agree, hey, we're going to cross paths and we're going to, you know, yuck it up a little bit, and then we'll be on our way to do our serious work, but at least we'll get to see each other for a little while we're down there.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way I feel about certain interactions.
That's so cool. Yeah, the things we think about when we're by ourselves, and then we try to tell other people about it, is what I like about conversations. Like when you and I were in California and we had that deep conversation that first or second night, it was like, you know, I never get to talk to anybody about this stuff. It's kind of like that. That's what I like about doing this, what we're doing.
Me too.
That you and I are able to share our experiences with other people, and they're sitting there in the chat room going, yeah, me too. You know, it's like, wow, man. I think it's so cool that we have this way to communicate with everybody. It's just,
to me, it's the most amazing thing we have right now in this way. It really is the most amazing thing. And yet, I couldn't help feel when I was typing in the StreamYard link tonight, something in my head said, this is already antiquated. And, you know, and I kind of took that off in my imagination and thought maybe 5-10 years from now how we were going to actually be doing this. I can't see it, but I don't think it'll be the exact same way where we're just grabbing a link. It might be something totally more immersive than what we have now. But it is amazing, Rich. It is absolutely amazing that we can do this and have these conversations.
And what I like about life are the coincidences and the way things happen because people meet each other. And Third Phase brought this up again many times, where they thanked me for introducing you to them, or however it worked out, that you guys were able to become friends and create what you created. And then because of them, you and I are editing and making movies and videos. It's a real good give and take. It's like we're all in this reality. There's not a lot of us, first of all, and Third Phase says that too. I agree. There's not a big community. So for us to be this close and share what we do, and I think it's something that'll probably traverse through other dimensions or lives, or maybe we've met each other in the past. It sure feels very comfortable talking to you and those guys, and I don't have that with a lot of people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know, like minds and all that, but there's something else going on.
There's certainly something else going on when you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them forever. Or, you know, even when I got to finally meet you personally, or I laid eyes on Blake and Brent, yeah, you have this sort of like visceral kind of shock, like, oh my God, it's you. It's you. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just so familiar. It's like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Great. You know, give the hug. All right, let's get to work. Let's hang out. Let's do whatever. It's just, it was so natural. Like I had been, you know, seeing them yesterday, although we've been talking to them for a very long time, you longer than I. Again, there's something so intrinsic about the relationship that we all hold within, you know, many different dimensions, personally and officially, or professionally, I should say. It's just, if it wasn't meant to be, man, I'm not sure what the fuck it was.
It sure feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have gotten on me because they're like, you know, how can you call yourself, you know, somebody who tells the truth, yet you team up with Third Phase of Moon? I'm like, you don't know, man. I don't judge people 100%. Like, people think like I judge everybody just because of the videos and all this other stuff. They fake things. You can tell a lot about somebody, but I've known Third Phase is different because I've been watching them forever since they first came around, and I was their biggest hater, but not of them, of what they were doing at the time. And I always said they seem like such nice guys with all this talent. And then years later, I found out like 3 years later, I found out they were making movies. They were movie makers, and I'm like, oh, that explains it. You know, no, now I know why these guys make these videos. Oh, that's too bad. They seem like nice guys. I constantly say that. And I don't know what it was. But even back then, I wanted to meet them. And I couldn't. It was weird. It was a different time. It was just, things weren't gelling. But the reason I gave them, and they gave me a chance. They called into my show that one night when me and Dave were on doing a show, and it was just weird how things worked out. I gave them a different number. They called me, and I didn't pick up, and months go by, and they're like, oh, I guess Rich doesn't really want to talk to us after all. And then I don't know how I found out that they were dialing the wrong number, gave them the right number, and then we started talking every day almost for 2 years, going on 3. So I learned a lot about them. You learn a lot about somebody talking for hours, and whether you believe them or not is up to you, but I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, and those guys are exactly what I thought they were. And the things that happened to them and the way things happened made sense to me. How they went from bottle digging, put up a video of a UFO on their bottle on it wasn't Third Phase of Moon back then, and then the video went viral, and they're like, oh my gosh, let's put up more UFO videos. And then Third Phase of Moon was born. And they didn't know, what to do. They were just taking everything that came in. And some of them weren't legit, but they were the biggest, getting the most views. And we're all addicted to the most views. We all want that. But even back then, I was like, I don't care. You shouldn't be posting that stuff, da-da-da-da-da. But if you don't give somebody a chance, you could be missing out on something wonderful. And I just felt this weird pull that I can't describe. And I was going against what I thought was my instincts, which were really my instincts, like the real thing. And I was fighting it, and I didn't. And I wound up talking to him, and here we are today. It's just don't go against your real instincts instead of what you think you should believe in. Like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to them because they have a history of this and that. And I went against that. I said, no, I want to talk to them. I think they deserve it. They speak like me. They talk nicely. They seem like nice guys. And holy shit, they have parents too? You mean they're human?
And you get on the phone with them and you're talking for hours on end, and certainly many different subjects come up. There's never a point where it's just like, yeah, we're gonna agree on this just because blah 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 blah, whatever the case is. No, we'll get into like heated debates, and it happens with all of us, and it's great intellectual debates, and there's no animosity behind it. It's just passion for what we're presenting on either side. So, I mean, seriously, to be a fly on the wall on some of those conversations, even being involved, I'd still like to look back and kind of listen to it again to see what I might have missed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was so in depth.
We've had so many long conversations with them, and I can't remember everything, but they seem to remember everything. Those guys, they're amazing.
They got great memories.
Well, they do. They really do. I thought I had a photogenic memory. But I guess maybe if you have a twin, it's enhanced a little bit and you feed off the other person's thoughts. I don't know. I think there's something going on. I think they're superheroes.
I think if you know them personally, if you know some of the things that they do in their personal lives, you would continue to think that there was something magical about these guys, or something, that the universe just likes them. But it's not. They're people who live in tune with their highest vision of themselves here in the physical. And guess what? Everything they want to manifests the way that it needs to, because of how they're living their life and the attitudes that they carry. It's consistent.
Yeah. They they said, okay, we want to do this and that. What do you think? And I'm like, well, if you want it, it's gonna happen, because everything you say you want to do, you do. And those guys are doers. They go out and get it. You can't just sit around on your ass and expect shit to happen. You just can't. I'm a prime example of that. I say I'm gonna do this. I'm a procrastinator. I'm a habitual procrastinator, and I don't know why. And I try to break away from it, but people know I'm going to put a video up, and I don't, and then I'll sit down and I'm doing it. I don't feel it. It's like I live my life on how I feel more than I should, more than I want to do. But once I start doing it, I'm like happy I did it, and then I'm like, why didn't I do this earlier? That's why I went to California. That's why I proved to myself that I'm not going to sit at home and miss an opportunity like this. I think I need to go and put the bullshit aside. I don't have a dog anymore to worry about. I can pack up and go anywhere I want. That's the purpose of my single life. And I did it. And it was great. It was so fast.
It wouldn't have been the same without you there, man. Straight up, it would not have been the same experience.
Yeah, it would have been fine. You would have had more time on the 3D thing.
Yeah, you say that. Yeah.
You guys would have been. You got to look at me sitting there like a lump on a log.
Oh, we were having fun, dude. No,
I know.
Remember, we were having a good time.
I'm joking. See, that's the kind of life I like what we did. I like it. You just wake up, you go get breakfast, come back with coffee. Everybody chills out for a minute. What are we going to do today? And then, all right, let's go do it and do it.
Make a plan, and that's it.
Let's go to the beach, ride 10 miles on a bicycle.
I know. Good Lord, that was amazing. Really, if you had told me we were going to ride 7+ miles on a bike, I probably would have been like, I'll try to keep up, but I didn't even notice a damn thing when we were out there. Except the sunburn on my forehead.
Yeah, you got it, man. I still have discoloration. It's weird.
Because I got the base.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so ugly. Yeah. So I was gonna go out to the beach at the Gulf, and I'll take off my shirt and get a tan. So nobody's gonna be out there during the week, so I may go tomorrow, get some sun.
There you go.
Try to get my glow back. I lost that glow, that California glow. There was something else I want. Thank you guys for the questions. I haven't seen any more, but I appreciate you guys chiming in. Really enjoying the show. Cindy Lou says, yeah, it was good. You see, this is why I need other people in. But you see, you know how. You know how to converse. You know when to stop. You know when to go.
I hope so.
I put a thing up today, and we're just about done here. But I put up a poll, and I said, do you want more comedy in the show? Do you want more interviews? Do you want me to go out on the street, or do you want me to keep it the same? People said keep it the same and more interviews.
Okay.
And that's what they want. But people don't understand. They're like, well, why don't you have the people call in? I'm like, it's the same 5 people every time. And, after 2 times, like, what else can be said?
Well,
I want continual turnover of different people. We just don't have that many listeners yet.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned before, I mean, some of these interviews that you have done are incredibly informative. I mean, even some of the ones you've done in the past, couple months here, A lot of people in attendance really enjoyed it. So, maybe these are things that you can work in as you go. But by and large, you have a very good format here, and I think people really do enjoy your presentation, your style of presentation.
Well, nobody does what I do.
And that certainly makes it unique in and of itself.
Nobody
you also do it well.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But
I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm just telling you that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, hey. All right, enough. Hey. All of a sudden
Hey,
now,
the ladies are getting upset over there now. See?
Frickin' cluckers. It's a good thing they're not dogs. I'd be like, damn bitches. What is a female chicken? What is a female chicken?
Hen?
Is it?
I don't know. I think so.
Wait. What is a female chicken?
Tell you all about supercavitation. Can't tell you what a female chicken's called. Oh, I'm fun.
It's a cockereel.
A cockereel?
Oh no, it's a hen.
Okay, so I was right. All right.
A pullet is an immature female chicken. A cockerel is an immature male chicken. A chick is a baby chicken. Chickens is plural, and a hen is an adult female. Oh, the hen sisters. So it's the hen sisters.
Whoa,
they're actually twins, but one of them has skin disease. Makes her invisible.
Where's Blue Chicken right now?
Blue Chicken?
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna say goodnight to you, but before we go, you got to tell everybody what's coming up next and where can we find you.
So, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me on the show. As always, Rich, it's an incredible time each and every chance we have to sit down and discuss what we do. You guys can find me over at DarkHour Paranormal. I do have a show with Jared Murphy on Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Right.
And I'm also on Bigfoot Odyssey channel on Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So that's what I have in line for this week. I want to put out another premiere for you maybe Friday or Saturday. We'll see how that goes. Some of these places that I'm trying to get out to are getting a little bit further away as I'm covering some of the more local areas within my travels where I'm usually going. So I'll see if I can get out to, I said I wanted to cover Union Cemetery down in Easton, Connecticut. I believe right across from the cemetery Ed and Lorraine Warren are buried. But regardless, they were the ones who popularized the Lady in White over there, and it's known as one of the most haunted cemeteries in America, if not the entire world. And right down there, you have a whole slew of other things in the same vein. But it's going to take a little time to get out, but you guys will see some more of those documentaries coming forward before the weather gets too cold. So keep your eye as well with the interviews. They are coming. I will have, well, I won't say, you guys will see, but I have some notable names of interest that are coming up that you guys will certainly enjoy watching the conversation.
Oh, it's coming up, Michael. It's coming up.
Oh my gosh. We got the
I want to
echo.
thank you. Yeah, I turned it off. Sorry. I just wanted to let people know. Well, thank you very much. It was incredible, as always. I feel like I can still keep going with you, but, you know, it's late for us, so we got to get going.
Of course.
I still have work to do, and I know you do, but, yeah, man, DarkHour Paranormal, Michael Roser, everybody. Thank you for the most wonderful 2 hours in the USO free documentary. You guys can find that on Third Phase UFO Report. Michael, pleasure, as always.
Thanks so much, Rich. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Always. And thank you, all those in the chat that join us each and every evening. If I'm not on the show with Rich, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for being here and supporting Goof On.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Tony McClear says, for a 10-pounder, he says, good show, guys. So he says that. Thank you. And also Patrick Sheehan. So, Michael, have a good night. I'm going to put you in the green room. You can stay or go, but I got something to say before we get out of here. So thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Ciao.
Cheers. Ciao.
For you.
Goodbye. Oh my goodness gracious. You know what time it is. Come on, everybody, before we get out of here.
What are they?
What are they?
Why are they?
Why are they?
What do they mean? What are they? Why are they? What do they mean?
I can't do it.
What do they mean?
What are they, everybody?
Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields.
Secrets in the fields.
Secrets in the fields.
Yeah, come on, everybody. Goof on. Loves crop circle guy.
What
Greg
are
Brown.
they?
What are they?
Why are they?
What
Do they mean?
I don't fucking know.
What are they?
What are
they? Why are they?
Why are they? What do they mean?
Gotta throw in a little heavy metal.
Do they mean?
What are they, everybody?
Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change? These secrets in the fields. Are they harbingers of world change?
Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Goof on. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, moderators and super chatters. If it wasn't for you, this show would not run smoothly, my friends. Thank you for all you do and all you give. I cannot pay you back just with this. That's it. This is it. And I want to thank the newcomers and veterans alike. Thank you for giving the show a few minutes. If you like it, come back, subscribe to it, thumbs up, share it to somebody in your family or a friend who has a like mind, and come back and give it a thumbs up, because that really helps the algorithm. Hey, comment too if you want to say something about each video. I don't care. Good, bad, indifferent. We want to hear what you think. Not really, but we do. Not really. We do. We do? No. Because Goof On is truthology for ufology. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Have a good night. What are they?